fuck you, that's rude. Like, you could deal with a couple toppings and pick it off, okay? Like, if there's a big group, deal with it.
Dude,
get a Supreme.
So my flight instructor's from Germany, and they have like a stricter kind of dinner culture. Like here, of course, like you don't put your elbows on the table, right? But if I see elbows on the table, like so long as you're not like prison guarding your food, and like I don't really notice or care. Like, you know, just chill about the whole thing. These guys, like we're out at a restaurant, and they see people not using the knife in the left hand and the fork in the right, and they're like, oh, you know, in Germany that would be considered very rude. And it's like, really? Like, you giving me shit about my knife hand? I brought my camera.
And
real
quick, though, about the manners thing. When I was a kid, or not a kid, I guess I was a young adult, like 12, 13, they had this thing called cotillion. It's mainly popular in, like, the Midwest and the South. I don't know if you had, like, a cotillion thing you had to go to, Kyle, where you basically learn, like, proper eating etiquette and, like, how to swing dance and a bunch of shit that I hated it. I hated it, but I was like 13, so I had no control over my life. And like every Wednesday after school, at like 6, I'd have to go and hang out with a bunch of people my own age who didn't want to be there, except for a couple of girls. And this old hag woman would stand there and lecture us on the proper way to consume bread and soup and how to use napkins. One of the things, God, what was it that was so fucking bananas? I got scolded during our like trial dinner, I guess, because they took us out to like a fucking Marriott and gave us bad spaghetti to watch us eat it.
Does anyone else realize what a ridiculous fucking rich kid problem this is? Like, oh man, let me tell you about finishing school. You know,
it was.
They taught me to swing dance, and I'd rather not have.
Yeah, that's what it was. But it was just knowing that like I could be home playing video games, I could be playing street hockey, I could be, you know, at the ice rink or doing anything else. But no, I'm sitting here getting berated by this 62-year-old bitter single woman because I cut my food like this, and then I eat with the same hand. You're apparently not supposed to do that. It's a European style of eating. What you're supposed to do is cut your food in the American style, then set your knife down, facing you with the blade on the top of your plate. Then you invert your handle on your fork, scoop it up and eat it, and then you pick it up again and do that whole dance of eating. So, and that's nonsense.
Filthy, did you hate finishing school as much as Taylor did?
Finishing school? What the fuck is finishing school? Why would I ever have gone to that?
I found out my trust fund wasn't...
How were allocution lessons? Were they tough?
My violin lessons?
Allocution.
Allocution. Yeah, very tough. Not as tough as the violin.
Is that a pronunciation thing?
Allocution? Kitty had to take the allocution lessons.
No, I didn't. That was like the only silly thing like that I had to do because I really made it clear to my mom, because she was into it, and so she was like one of the moms that would stay and watch the whole thing and be like out there in the foyer like, oh man,
we're such a strange species.
Another thing, you can't take your whole roll and just butter your roll and eat it like people do. No, you're supposed to tear off individual pieces like a Somalian child who hasn't eaten in days, just trying to hold like a little bit, and then you butter each individual piece.
I gotta say, I know all this stuff just by observation. Like that's how I've noticed that, you know, people do it most of the time. It seems like the proper way to do it. Like I wouldn't be like, oh, let me make sure I put my knife, blade up on the center of the table facing me, but like I know that I should put my knife down before I
didn't know the facing me part, and I didn't know the tearing the bread part. I did know which hands to use, and of course I hold it properly, but I could see my knife not facing me.
I think I've known zero of these things so far.
Putting your knife...
And honestly, my life has been better off not knowing these.
What kind of barbarian are you? What do you just pick the steak up and take a hunk out?
Sometimes I put my elbows on the table. I find it a very good place for my elbows.
Yeah, and they told me to chew with my mouth closed and to wear deodorant and I just thought that was silly. Putting down your knife when you're eating a steak is nonsense. You're going to need it right afterward. And I don't want to cut up my entire steak and then eat it in little bits like I'm a child.
That's actually a thing too. That's not proper. You need to cut a piece. You cut a piece, you eat that piece. Don't go cutting your whole thing like some savage and then eat it.
There's no rationale behind this. This is just a social norm. This is someone's.
Yeah, that one's actually just less efficient.
Yeah, someone at some point has sat down and be like, this is the way that the people of breeding and quality do it. So
Yeah.
why the fuck do I give a shit about this? Like,
You should, yeah.
like, and it just it blows your mind that stuff like this is taught and like taught to children as something that they should aspire to and be worried about and be reprimanded for, because it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like a West Egg bourgeois thing that they saw like new money coming in. And they're like, fuck, they're infiltrating. How about we eat really weird and confuse them and shame them for it? They're like, that's good. We're all
I
going to
think
do
it's
that.
so that you can pick them out. Say, oh, look at Francois over there. No one ever taught him how to use his knife. Keep an eye on him. He's not one of us. I think it's
Isn't
more
new
like
money-
that.
So I get that old money is the prestige money, right? Generations of class, in your heritage. But is it new money the better money? Because new money to me means they earned it. Like,
It depends.
if you have
Or
new
they won the
money-
lottery.
Let's say it's not the lottery, but if you have new money, that means like you're a man of
Inheritance.
accomplishments, right? If you inherited it, if you're old money, then you are just born into privilege. You're probably a shit.
what if we can flip that around though? What if new money is, a product of a circumstance and you might be lucky? It doesn't have to be lottery lucky. It could be right time, right place style lucky, or like,
Even
good
right
idea
time, right
with
place,
just-
buddy.
just-
Let's
true.
take
That's
Mark Cuban,
awesome.
right? Mark Cuban had that he put radio or something on the internet, that broadcast thing, made $1 billion. Dude, that's a man of accomplishment. And I'm not saying that he could, like, if it wasn't that, it would have been some other $1 billion idea. No, he probably was like a combination of luck, skill, and opportunity.
I was thinking more of like the actions rather than like the way they get there. Like old money, in my head, it's someone who, drives a 1998 nice Lincoln that's still in good shape. They like it and they just like driving it around. In 2016, maybe it's like a 2004, some nice luxury car, but they take care of it. New money is a new fucking, Escalade every 8 months or every 9 months when the new model comes out or whatever, and you get the big gaudy rims and it's all like in your face, That's like, I was thinking more like the behavior.
I hear you, and like
kind
in
of
that
my
part of it, I do like the older car guy more. But that new guy who bought the Escalade, like, he might have. And let's assume that this is a wealthy guy, right? Not a guy who like spent his last penny on those rims. He probably did something that's worthy of your respect, to get in that position.
How much did they make for Facebook? Is that worthy of my respect?
Yes.
Really?
For making Facebook, it is. I
Yeah.
think.
You don't
I think
think that
we
guy?
consume a lot of dumb shit and a lot of shit that I don't think is particularly valuable in any way. And just because people buy it and pay for it and make you rich does not make that a product that is valuable.
To
Dude,
say
Facebook
like
is
real quick, I wasn't
insanely
saying
complicated,
that
right?
new
Like,
money.
If you make a website and you'd be lucky to serve, a couple thousand people, Facebook serves millions. What they did there requires PhD level engineering. Like, that is a very impressive product, even if you think that it doesn't bring like great social worth.
But you can have impressive technical achievements that are not particularly valuable, like, I don't want to say morally, but potentially from like making society better or something, right? You can have very expensive, very complicated, essentially toys, right?
Right, sure.
Facebook might be the
is
best
one.
broadcast system we have on this whole planet. Like, if you needed to send an emergency out to as many humans as possible right now, and you only wanted to use one
I'm dying.
avenue,
10 likes.
you might update on Facebook real quick. Asteroid inbound, duck and cover, motherfuckers. Like that might be how you do it to hit the most people as quickly as possible. It is very impressive. But I see your point there. Yeah, it's probably not the. We probably could have focused all that time and energy into doing something more fruitful for mankind. It would have been better.
But I don't like it because I feel like it's like, oh yeah, Facebook. It's not that cool. Wait till you do something
cool.
really
I mean-
cool. Come on, we play video games on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Like, why are we passing judgment on the creators of Facebook?
Because the argument
Because
that
we're
you're
jealous.
making, or the suggestion that you're making, is that anyone who's made money has therefore done some, who's made new money. This was the discussion, right? Is
it's entirely
somehow that worthy of respect just because they've made that money, and I don't agree with that.
And the
I think-
anyone thing
I
is a
don't
bit of a
agree with
straw
that.
man there. I mean, but what I'm saying is that if we look at the old money and the new money, it's quite likely that the new money person made that, right? They did something. They might run some plumbing business with 75 trucks and manage to keep that all cooking. They might have, I don't know, invented the best water filter system in all of West Virginia. They probably did something there.
Yeah, but this
that
is-
they
we can
weren't
just-
Or
saying
they
nice
might have
like-
for.
sold
think of, like-
truck balls or something.
Or they might have gave mortgages at terrible rates or whatever the fuck. They might have caused the economy to crash by screwing people out of their hard-earned money. Like, the fact that they have money doesn't mean that they made that in some way that's worthy
Okay,
of
but if you're
respect.
making a new versus old money argument, the old money people might have done that as well. Like that's not an argument, that
Well,
favors one over the
I
other.
don't
feel like that. I think that I introduced the old money, new money. I introduced it as a behavior thing to explain like they act differently, and that might be the reason, that difference in behavior, in why old money people don't like new money people, because they feel like they're being encroached on. It's not that one's better or worse. I was saying
Money
that
people
might
don't
explain
like-
why old money don't like new money as much.
I follow
Old money
that.
don't like new money because they don't have the breeding. They don't have as much class. Because the people who have established wealth through generations have a way of doing things, and they associate with a certain group of people, and all of a sudden you've got some guys coming in with camo hats worth $1 billion, and they look at that guy and they're like, he's not one of us. That's the end of the story. That's what it is.
You're completely right. But and there's a part of me that I like old money behavior a lot. But if I were to pick, like which group did something, the inheritance group or the group that wears camo hats, like Duck Dynasty, right? They've got. Excuse me. I'm told that Duck Dynasty